Hi, so today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about CDTs, what they are, what are the pros and cons of doing a CDT, as opposed to maybe a different kind of PhD, and what you kind of get out of them as a student. So CDT stands for Centre for Doctoral Training. They're funded by UK Research and Innovation, UKRI, and what they're going to offer you is a stipend for the full 4 years of study. These studentships cover your tuition fees and your funds to live off. The standard CDT is going to be 4 years long, with the first year often being an integrated master's. So what that means is you do a year of master's on the same funding stipend as you would for a PhD, and then you go on to do kind of your 3 years of project. I found that even when it's not technically a master's year, the format and the work and the teaching style in the first year of a CDT is always very similar to your standard master's. One of the big advantages of being in a CDT is you're a part of a cohort. So how they find CDTs is it's a form of research which has quite high ties to industry normally, and you'll have a whole research group. And I think one of the CDTs that I applied to had about 20 per year PhD students. So while the sizes can vary, it's a really important support network in what can be a very lonely time as a PhD student. You can feel a lot less supported with other PhDs, which you just kind of are more independent on. Another benefit of a CDT is it has those really strong connections to industry partners. So that could be happening during your PhD. Sometimes you'll go and do kind of like a placement, but it will be quite good pay. And those kind of experiences can be really invaluable when you come to look for jobs after your PhD. And it can also be really good experience for kind of honing in on what you want to do post-PhD. Another advantage of having 4 years to complete a PhD instead of the sort of standard 3.5, is you're going to have that module style learning at the very first year. And that's going to build a really strong foundation of knowledge, rather than if you went straight from a bachelor's or even a less related master's. All of those modules are going to be really tailored to help you be successful during the PhD. However, one of the disadvantages is it can mean a continuation of academic assessments, which typically you won't find in other forms of PhD. So if you really hate exams or you hate coursework or that kind of pressure to perform under certain circumstances, you may not enjoy the first year of a CDT as much. One of the other disadvantages is kind of depending on what you're looking for, but the projects are predefined and normally with quite specific research aims and goals. So while that can be a really great structure for approaching a PhD, it doesn't give you as much flexibility as some other PhDs in terms of the direction you can go with your research. When they kind of outline the question, what you need to do, it can be kind of, I know that some people want to go into a PhD not having a project defined at all. So it really depends on what you're looking for, but CDTs as standard will have quite specific research output aims. They're definitely a really good thing to consider if you're looking for a PhD, and the process of applying for CDTs is the exact same as non-CDT PhDs. You're probably more likely to have a panel interview, which will be made up of kind of the CDT leader as well as your actual supervisors. And kind of, it depends on the PhD and the university, but some CDTs will be more competitive, some will be less competitive. There'll be a lot of variation across programs, but they also, one benefit that I forgot to mention was you get the opportunity when you apply to a CDT to list multiple projects. So it can be quite good in terms of if you aren't compatible for one project, you might be compatible for another. So that can be quite helpful. But yeah, consider applying to a CDT. They're quite good. I hope that's been helpful. And goodbye. Like and subscribe.